Welcome. Let's talk about the top 10 interview questions. Interviews are hard. I will argue that they are the hardest part of the entire job search process because somebody can help you with your resume and cover letter, but nobody can sit in that interview chair but you. My name is Cindy, and I empower career changers, transitioning teachers, and those returning to the workforce with finding amazing jobs that match their current why. All right, let's go over the top 10 interview questions from the simple to those behavioral based questions. Let's get started. Number one question is that dreaded tell me about yourself. The tell me about yourself question should be number one about you professionally, not you personally. It is about you professionally. And the biggest key in answering this question is recognizing that everything that you are saying is telling the employer why you are the best person for the exact job that you are interviewing for. So when you talk about yourself and you highlight the best parts of you, think about what is important to the job. And those are the things you want to include in the tell me about yourself. Start with the recent things. Why do you want to work here? Or why did you apply for this job? So here is where you want to talk about number one, the position, and number two, the company. So it can't just be why you want to work for, why you want to work at this company. It also has to be why you're excited about this position. And this is where you get to showcase your knowledge of the company. And on top of showcasing your knowledge of the company here, what do you know about our company is a very big decision-making question that employers ask. Some employers will even ask that as the very first question. And if it turns out that you haven't done your homework and don't know anything about them, they often will end the interview at that moment. So do some research and know about the company. You want to check out their website, look them up, look the people up on LinkedIn, look them up in social media, YouTube, anywhere you can to learn about the company. Number four, and I'll give you two for one. Number four will be the two questions of what are your greatest strengths and what are your greatest weaknesses? When you answer this question, don't just answer in one word answers. When you talk about your strength, tell them what your strength is and then give an example. Everything is stronger if you back it up with a story. So tell them your strength and then tell them why this is your strength. When you're talking about weaknesses, be careful to not talk about a weakness for something that is important to this job. So you don't want to say my weakness is organization or being on time because you need those for the job. You have two choices for your weaknesses. Number one is to talk about something that you used to struggle with and then what you did, what steps you took to improve that, and why you're better at that now, or saying something that is completely and totally irrelevant to the job. I gave a lecture in person last night, and one of the members of my audience, when asked what her greatest weakness was, she said, sugar. I like it. It's funny, and it's true for most of us. Um, Tell me about a conflict that you had with a client or a coworker. Huge question, really important question. And definitely a specific example is valuable here because we are all smart enough to give a hypothetical about what we would do if we were having a conflict and how we would listen to the other side and we would come upon an agreement. But that's not always what happens in real life. So have a story succinct and to the point that showcases you in a good light and has a positive resolution at the end. Oftentimes, when I'm practicing this question with my clients, they go through telling me a story and they get near the very end of the story and they're like, oh, this one doesn't end well. Yeah, we never spoke to each other again. That's not a good story. Tell me about a project that you are most proud of. Okay, so what's interesting about this question is number one, in what you choose to be a project that you're most proud of. Okay, and number two, in choosing a project that is relevant to the job that you're applying for. Okay, so for example, I was working with a client who was a transitioning teacher, and I asked her to tell me about a project that she was most proud of. She was interviewing for a technology integration specialist position. She told me about a project where she did a beautification of the outside of the school and turned an empty space into a garden. And she fundraised X amount of dollars and she sourced all the materials and she was project manager overseeing the entire operation. So it's a fantastic story, but none of it involves technology integration. So if you tell that story for this job, you will not get the job. So make sure that the story about a project you're most proud of is relevant to the position you're interviewing for. That's always going to be what you need to keep in mind is this relevant for the job I am applying for? Number 7, tell me about a time you're faced with an obstacle. So this is the works well under pressure, problem solving, is able to handle things, anything that's thrown their way. We all use those words, but this is a time when you're giving an example of that, and that's much more important. Um, how do you stay organized? Okay, organization is really important for just about any job. So I want to hear about your Google Calendars, your spreadsheets with drop downs and color codes. Talk about how you stay organized. Um, they're definitely going to ask you, do you have any questions for me? And you need to have questions for them. So coming forward and saying, no, you did such a good job of explaining the position. I have no questions. That's not going to show that you have a great interest in this position. Let's face it, we all have questions about everything. We are unable at this moment to make decisions without doing research, right? You go into the store, you want to buy a new shampoo. You don't just look at it. You're on your phone, you're looking up, you have questions. Do people like this? What are the ratings? What does it do to my color? Right? If you're looking to apply for a job and interview for a job where you're spending a vast majority of your day, you should have questions. I recommend 3. Um, my favorite question, what would you like me to accomplish in the first 90 days? It's an excellent question. And one more question, your 10th question in the most common questions asked is, what are your salary requirements? Do your homework first, understand the range for that position, and hopefully you can tell them that you're negotiable. And if they pin you down, give a range. Okay, give a range that is relevant for that position in the area where you are interviewing. Okay, these are the top 10 interview questions. Check out all the other videos I have about interviewing so that you are able to ace your next interview. And if you'd like some more help with all of this, that's exactly what I do. Let's book a free 45-minute discovery call so I can help you to be successful, not just with your interviews, but with your entire job search. I hope this was super helpful for you. Always remember you're a warrior. Have a super productive week, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.